In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
We're back!
Hey, it's just me. Why? Because everybody else was too lazy to actually get up and watch this. But, hey, I had a free pass, so I saw it. And what am I talking about? The Killing Joke. Where do I begin? All right, I read this story years ago, and I enjoyed it years ago because it was fresh. I had never seen a Joker who did any of this stuff. If you read The Killing Joke, it's about 48 pages, and it's mind-blowing because of the speed that everything's going on, and it actually tells the Joker's origin, which really hadn't been attempted. We knew how the Joker came into being because he was the Red Hood and he fell into this vat, but we didn't know who he was before that. And this did a very good job of trying to cement that until they wanted to just retcon and say, hey, look, he always remembers his origin differently. So this really didn't matter. The biggest thing about The Killing Joke that lasted, however, was what happened to Barbara Gordon. Now, did this need to last? No, because originally The Killing Joke was an Elseworlds tale. This was out of continuity, right? Someone decided in their infinite wisdom to bring it into continuity, and so the longest lasting effect of The Killing Joke was what happened to Barbara Gordon and her being paralyzed. Okay, so that's pretty much the claim to fame of this story. It's no longer anything about the Joker. It's nothing about Batman or Commissioner Gordon. It's about what happened to Barbara Gordon and the results that happened afterwards. Now, to the credit of a lot of writers at DC, they didn't just put her off to the side and make her some peripheral character who would come in every once in a while. They developed her character wonderfully into Oracle, which I won't get too much into, but suffice to say that Barbara Gordon was much more effective as Oracle than she ever was as Batgirl. That's pretty much the legacy of this book. A lot of people look on it as a watershed moment, a landmark story written by Alan Moore, but even Alan Moore has gone on to say that this was not really that great of a story, and he wrote it. DC, however, is still mining the well, going back to the place for water that no longer bears water, and they decided, let's do The Killing Joke. Let's do another film that's not going to work. So let's see what we had. Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Killing Joke. How many strikes do you get? How many strikes do you get? Even your animated division is not doing it. Okay, the film starts off, and it's all this backstory about Barbara Gordon, and it's horrible. It's horrible. It shows us that she's incompetent. Forget the reasons for her being incompetent. She's incompetent. She's not a good crime fighter. Okay? How much different would this have been if we show Barbara Gordon as someone who is competent? Very competent in what she's doing, but she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't feel like she's making any difference in doing this. She retires of her own volition. And then after the retirement, we have the irony that she's retired and then shot by the Joker, but then goes on to be Oracle, and in becoming Oracle, she is now more effective than she ever was as Batgirl. And she finds her calling indirectly through this tragic accident that happens to her. Fine, we don't get that. Instead, we get almost 40 minutes of backstory where Barbara Gordon is sweating Batman. Batman is like the worst boyfriend ever. He's that horrible boyfriend that women complain about. You can't access him. He's cold, he's aloof, he's emotionless, okay? And you know he cares, but hey, you'll be damned if he ever shows anything about it. In the comics, this never happened. While Batgirl did have a crush on Batman, and this was the Bronze Age comics as well, while Batgirl did have a crush, it was never realized, it was, maybe touched on her part, and Bruce Wayne would have never done it, primarily because there were always women in the picture before they went to the 80s and decided to make Batman this asexual demon creature of the night who all he wanted to do was just beat down criminals. He did have a healthy life outside of it, but that was the Bronze Age, and that didn't sell too well. So they decided, hey, we'll go with the Frank Miller treatment, where he's this psychopath and just wants to kill, beat. That'll be the end of it.
No!
And it's not the first time. It's not the first time that we've actually seen this with Batman, where the other people are incompetent. We've seen this before with Robin. Robin gets killed by the Joker. Why? He's incompetent. It's not so much, okay, that Robin doesn't listen, it's that he's incompetent. He can't pull it off on his own. Robin ends up dead. And this has happened across with just about a whole bunch of different characters who get linked with Batman, because the only true Avenger of the Night can be the Batman. So we get this whole backstory, and I mean, it's terrible. It culminates with Batgirl and Batman having sex, And you have to wonder, how did that happen? Now, they try to make it that Batgirl's the aggressor because in today's day and age, that's the only way it's going to work. She had to consent, okay? She had to consent, and without the consent, this thing would have been all over the place. I don't care that there's an age difference, because in today's age, where they're talking about love is love, hey, if she's legal and they want to do it, there's no problem with that. You can't fault that. It's the problem that this is supposed to be mentor and mentee. This is your, Commissioner Gordon's daughter. It's so convoluted for that to happen. And you would think that Batman, who's supposed to be this guy of superior presence of mind, would understand, hey, this is a cluster bomb right over here waiting to go off, and he just wouldn't have done it. But this is supposed to be the driving force behind Batman going after the Joker now. Not so much that you came over and you shot someone who was a peer, someone who I worked with closely. You shot the girl who I had feelings for and had sex with, so now I'm going to go get you, Joker. Then it goes into the actual Killing Joke story. See, what you have to realize is that not you guys, the viewers, but what DC needs to realize is not every comic story is translatable into film. Be it a film with live action or animated film. It's not always going to be able to happen. Once you put the Killing Joke on film, it's very thin. Okay, it shows you just how thin this particular story is, because they even have to expand on that. It doesn't come across very well at all. Batman comes across as incompetent. He's sitting across from somebody who's not the Joker. He can't sort out that this person is not the Joker. He actually had to touch him and to find out he wasn't the Joker. Come on, world's greatest detective. He's not using his right hand. What was that smell of grease paint? World's greatest detective, right? I guess not. And that's something you can ignore in the comic because it happens so early. And it's off to the races and everything is speeding along. There's also the issue with that, a lot of people want to say that Batgirl was sexually assaulted. Look, if you think that she was sexually assaulted, you're welcome to that. But there's never any evidence in the story that this happens. We saw that she's shot and she's stripped naked. We see images of her pictures, where she's writhing in agony. People want to say, okay, well, obviously the Joker must have done something sexual. Look, if he did something sexual with Batgirl, then he obviously did something sexual with Commissioner Gordon, who he also stripped naked, okay, and was parading him around. We didn't get to see everything that happened to Commissioner Gordon. We just see him hunched over. And of course, all that ever happened to Commissioner Gordon was that he saw pictures of Barbara. But because it's a stripped naked woman, no, the Joker must have done something. And you people have to stop thinking like this and stop feeding your pubescent fantasies that every time a woman is stripped naked by a guy, that sex has to happen. There are worse things that could have happened, and worse things did happen. She was crippled. Okay, she was shot down in the prime of her life in front of her father. That's worse, much worse than any of these pubescent fantasies that you're coming over just so you can titillate yourself. This isn't a stroke book, okay? You gotta go and actually purchase a stroke book. Okay, and the fact that you want to everybody wants to do this rolling social implications. In 1986, nobody would have thought of this because most of the people reading it were kids, young adults. No, these type of characters weren't doing any of these things. Now, hey, all we need to do is see a little bit of side boob, sex, and if there's sex and everything the negative that comes along with it. You have to stop thinking like that when it comes to these particular stories. But anyway, that is, okay, that's supposed to be the highlight of this, where Commissioner Gordon is being pushed over the edge. Okay, he sees these horrible pictures of what happens to his daughter. He's stripped naked, so of course he's going to feel vulnerable and defenseless. He's being paraded around, being treated like an animal. And again, we don't get to see everything that happens to him. We just get to see portions of what the Joker puts him through that particular night. And seeing those pictures of Barbara is supposed to be the pinnacle, the apex of pushing him over the edge. It doesn't work. Batman comes to the rescue, not because he sorted anything out, but because the Joker gave him an invite, okay? And then the two of them share this horrible joke at the end. Again, in the comic it works because of the paneling and the pacing, because a lot of it has to be imagined up here. A lot of it takes place in the mind of the reader. Once you have to promote all of that for the reader in the terms of celluloid, in the terms of animation, doesn't work. And it didn't work here. All I can say is I had a free pass to see this movie. I had a free pass to see this movie, and I would have loved to have gotten my free pass back. What a waste of a night. Well, I got saddled with this one. The other guys from Spinner Rack will be back next time. The things you do, the things you got to do to keep a job. Oh well, spin a rack out, Calvin Ellis out.